So thank you everyone for joining us here today. Like I said, my name is Shoaib. I manage our startups and small business sales team here nationally for CDW Canada. So many of your account managers actually may end up lining up to my side of the business, reporting into my side of the business. So again, thank you all for your continued partnership with CDW. Thank you for trusting us. And it's because of you that we're able to put on these sort of events, these sort of webinars, and bring relative and valuable messages to all of you. So today we're going to be talking about our partnership with Lenovo and really Lenovo's data center solutions for SMB. And kind of really how they can help grow within that space. So I'll kick things off over here. I'll kick things off over here. So really just starting off with the agenda for today. We'll start off with just why CDW. And again, I know many of you already work with CDW in multiple capacities, but really do a quick highlight of why CDW. Again, a coverage of our team on the small business, small medium business side. And then from there, pass it on to Jason, one of the leader of the data center side at Lenovo, to go through the Lenovo message as well too. So we'll start off. I always like to start off with this slide over here, just because it gives a very good history of how we got to where we are today and why we made the growth and the expansion that we did in the spaces that we did. The key points I always want to point out over here are just kind of starting off. 1984, obviously CDW has been around for a while. That's what allows you to build that trust in us. We are a trusted brand. In 2003, we made that shift into the Canadian market. Prior to that, we were only in the US. We made that Canadian shift, and we've been growing with that shift ever since. In 2006, we acquired CDW. We acquired Burby, which we rebranded to CDW UK for that international approach. And then in 2019, most relevant recently was we acquired Scalar Decisions. So we ended up going from being that maybe that hardware, software kind of just reseller commodity provider to being really that in-depth solution provider, able to meet you exactly where you need with the right professional services and the in-house staff and bench to be able to complete all the right services for you. We understand that, especially in this space, the small, medium business space, your organization can grow and scale very quickly. CDW started off as a small business as well, and as you can see, over 30 years grew to where it's at. And we want to help all of our customers that are growing, that are in that position of, making sure that they're making all the right technological decisions. We want to be able to provide you with all the right information and knowledge. And really those acquisitions, especially that Scalar acquisition, led us to enhance our services capabilities, especially our professional and managed services, our professional managed security services, our professional managed, I know it says cloud, but I should say data center, hybrid data center services, especially because hybrid data center is relative to our message today. And then even professional managed ServiceNow practice. And really how do we implement all that? Well, we start off with an approach of assessing, understanding, where you are at. From there, designing the right solution, have the right development and the right strategy. From there, we help deploy. So we will do the professional services, deploy the services, be able to bring those services to you in-house, and then last but not least, help you manage as well too. So ongoing management of your data center, ongoing management of your environment, ongoing management of your firewall, again, all those things. Really, these acquisitions helped us grow that part of our business to be able to provide more value to you. And then last but not least, like I said, I was going to talk a little bit about our current team state, so our current coverage. So on the small, medium business side, again, we are one of the national teams working with organizations all across Canada. So many of my reps probably, as I said, already work with many of you, covering all across Canada. Aside from just even our small, medium business team, we do have our territory teams, our public sector teams, and our enterprise teams as well. So CDW, the whole purpose of this is really we try to meet you where you're at. A lot of my folks and a lot of the folks that, especially since the pandemic, that we've onboarded are local to their region. They live in region. So we wanted to be able to provide that best in-house service as well too. that's everything from my side. So with that, I'll pass it over to Jason, who will talk a little bit more about the Lenovo side of things. And I'm sure, again, Jason leads the Lenovo side. So Jason, I'll let you do your intro there.
Thank you so much, Shoaib, and thank you, CDW team, for putting us on. And of course, thank you to all of you attendees. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Obviously, as Shoaib pointed out, I probably want to be on holiday or on a patio right now, but I do obviously value the time you're spending with us. So let me just share my screen here and we'll get started. Ironically, we are also a 40-year-old company. We actually incepted in 1984, Chinese Academy of Science. So we've got a great, strong heritage. Another big company I used to work for also started in 1984 out of a college dorm room. So obviously there's a theme going on here with 40-year-olds, but here we're going to talk today a little bit more about what Lenovo is doing in the market, because we've gone through some acquisitions over the last few decades as well. 2004, Lenovo acquired the IBM ThinkPad line, so the PC division. We are now #1 in the world as a result of that. And in 2014, Lenovo then purchased the System X line, so the compute server product line through IBM, and we've been doing that steadily and readily for the last 10 years. So we've got a great heritage beyond the acquisition with Big Blue. And today I'm really excited to take you through some of the things that we know are really important and happening in a changing marketplace around AI, but more additionally, some of the complementary things, because I'm a hardware guy, and it's important that when we're thinking about AI, we often think about it as a software solution, but this software wasn't enabled until we had some advancements in hardware, and that being GPU, or what we're now calling, because it's not graphics, more like APU, or accelerator processor units. So now we're in a new world. This type of technological innovation in our industry, and for all of the corporations and individuals around the world, AI is here. It's not going anywhere, and it's generating a massive thrust of change in how we do things on a day-to-day basis. All right, so let me begin here. All right, so Lenovo, global company, 180 markets, nearly 80,000 team members, 18 research and development locations worldwide, and 30+ manufacturing sites, which I'll take you a little bit more through, because we have a little bit of a rarity in our industry in that we actually manufacture our own stuff within each of the regions that we support. Some credibility slides, really important for you to know who we are, because not a lot of people are aware that Lenovo has been in the data center for a good decade plus. And again, we've got 50+ years of heritage through the IBM. In fact, my own manager, my own boss, Jamie Johnston, was at IBM for about 25-30 years as well. So we've got this great heritage of IT. #1 PC company, #1 in top 500 supercomputers for 6 consecutive years. I've had to update this slide. We are #1 in x86 reliability for 10 consecutive years, and #1 in x86 security. I had to update that one again. Was 4, now it's 5 consecutive years, and 588 current world record workload benchmarks. We're a fast-growing smartphone manufacturer. Motorola is one of the acquisitions that we also made, and we have a very strong and stringent net zero emissions initiative within the organization. And I think you'll hear, well, 2050 is pretty far away, but we're talking about everything in that we do. And so a lot of organizations, when they talk about sustainability and net zero, they're really talking about not all of it. Let's put it to you that way. So when we're talking about it, we're talking everything from logistics and supply chain, from when we send a unit or a product to you, that's actually factored into our net zero emissions. So we're looking at ways to innovate, and we're using AI to do that as well. And then 165+ AI innovative solutions that we can bring to bear, all armed and resourced and weaponized by great people and great data scientists, et cetera, to help you on your journey. So more credibility, because it's important for you to know who we are. So #10 in the Gartner Supply Chain Top 25 for 2024. So last year we were #8, the year before #9. And what's really interesting about this particular report, the survey, is that it's based on environmental, social, and government standards through Gartner's doing. And as far as technology companies, what you're probably curious is, who was #1? Well, funny enough, Schneider Electric. So being a global provider of infrastructure around electrical components, they've made a very long stay in the industry and become #1. Funny enough, our competitors are number 19 and 21. So it does show you the strength and resilience of our supply chain and getting product to you, innovating that product, and bringing that product to market in a secure and quick fashion, which is what you're looking for. And then top tech supply chain. So only taking that number of organizations and bringing them, refining them down into just the technical industry. We've been we're number 3. And then obviously in Asia, we have number 1. We're a very prominent source in Asia. That was our home country when we started out back in '84, and obviously we've done really great things there. That global sourcing with local manufacturing and delivery. So again, I talked about, where are we situated as a global company in 180 countries. And so you can see on the very left side there, we actually have factories that are employed by Lenovo employees. This is not Foxconn. This is not some other entity that is doing the work. We actually build and manufacture all of our infrastructure group product. We have a factory in Monterey, North Carolina, and also in Mexico. And so this is where your stuff is being built, and we have a very strong supply chain in order to deliver product to you. And again, you can also see we have Europe for Europe and Asia for Asia as well. So made in North America for the Americas, which is a beautiful thing, right? So not just the fact that we're manufacturing this gear, but what's really important is that we're actually, because we're our own employees, we're actually investing back into the communities that we serve. And so that allows a little bit more a tangible benefit of what big corporations like ours are doing in the industry, but also what we're doing at the ground level, the grassroots within communities around the markets that we serve. And so you can see some lovely happy pictures of people who are happily enjoying their job. Hopefully it's not a busy day and they're enjoying that. A little bit more around server. So now I'm going to take you a little bit deeper into some of the leadership that we're showing around infrastructure. So servers and storage. Typically, we want to talk about what's most important, because really, truly, when we look at a PC or a server, a box is a box is a box. But what differentiates them, right? Are they higher performing? Are they more resilient, more robust, and are they more impregnable? Well, fortunately for me, I get to come on and talk to you that we actually do have the highest reliability in the market, as I previously stated, and there's a few of our competitors there as well. I will qualify this by saying, install base has a factor into some of these metrics, but I will say as well, I've also been at one of those vendors as well, 4-letter word. I did work for them for 20 years, and so I know a little bit of the background of some of the security and reliability of the platforms that you'd be using. Lowest downtime, the second one there as well. So lowest downtime percentage from a security attack. So we're talking ransomware breaches. Those are really important, and so our intrinsic security profile from supply chain right through to the hardware is really important, and that's the way we take that approach, and we've been doing that since the beginning. We brought that into our heritage from day 0, which obviously is a testament to the success we've had in the market so far. And so I think we can go through those repeatedly. Performance-wise, so we talked about security, we talked about reliability, but are we fast? Because, hey, you can be reliable by throttling back your compute capabilities, through BIOS settings, making it more an efficient PC or efficient server. But what we actually do is we have the ability to throttle up and address the particular workloads that you as customers need to address, either yourselves in your own personal use or your corporate use, or even addressing the needs and performance requirements for your own customers, right? So I believe on this call, we have some companies that are in analytics and in manufacturing. And so you're servicing other customers, and you want to have a vendor or manufacturer that is trustworthy and capable of providing you excellence, so that you can be successful in the market. And I'm going to whip through because I got 800 slides that we're going to go through today. Just kidding, but I do want to share with you some of the great things that we're doing here. So culture of innovation. I have never been at a company in my professional career that spends so much time and energy devising and building. So we are not just an OEM. We are also an ODM. So OEM being original equipment manufacturer, basically allows an OEM to outsource products. This is what a lot of our competitors do. ODM is a design and manufacture as well, which basically means that not only do we design, but we also own the product and manufacturing, and we can do that for our customers as well. So hyperscalers would be a great scenario. We're in, I believe, 9 out of 10 of the hyperscalers that you'll see in the globe, and so our product model and our innovation is certainly brought to bear, and it's resilient and pronounced in the market. It's received very well. All right. So number 10's in edge computing, power and cooling, AI solutions, over 150 of them, and obviously 10 years investments in cloud and analytics as well. All right. And by the way, I'll pause right now. If you do have any questions, I can't see a lot of the chat because I'm trying to present to you. But if you have any questions, feel free to please add them in the chat, and I'll try and address them at the end or after. We can email you, get back to you on any ideas or concepts or questions that you may have. All right, so let's go a little deeper in.
Sorry, Jason, just 1 second. I just wanted to interrupt for a second. So there's someone who's not muted and we cannot see you, but we can hear you in the background. If you're able to check if you're muted, we're not able to control it on this side for some reason. So please just make sure you are muted.
We got quite the echo.
Okay, I think we're good. Jason, I believe I just muted you as well, so you can unmute. Let me unmute you. Yep, you're good. So you can.
All right.
Yeah, you're good. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for the break there, team. All right. So ISG end-to-end security. So again, wanted to talk about some really key things because your data is your lifeblood. And if we're talking about AI, what makes AI run is the AI software and the hardware. But what's more important is making sure that that data, which is the lifeblood of your organization, is the most critical thing. It's your customer data. It's your data. And so it's important to have intrinsic security to address all of these things. So geopolitical risks, right? So these could be supply chain attacks. These could be markets of concern. We have some global wars going on, and so obviously we have some significant concerns around foreign actors and bad actors that may want to cause damage to your infrastructure. Edge computing. So edge is really just, I'll take you a little bit through it more in detail later on, but edge computing is at the outside of your data center. So not product within or compute or storage within the data center, but these could be in manufacturing plants. They could be CCTV cameras. They're all collecting data to some means and end for your organization. We got firmware attacks. Again, I mentioned supply chain, artificial intelligence. Obviously, Skynet hasn't come online yet, but obviously it's a concern around we're thinking about security. And then finally, ransomware, which we've seen that nearly 4/5 of customers, as you see, ranks security as a leading cause of unplanned downtime. And we want to make sure that your systems are up and running as often and as consistently as possible. And so that's the reason why I'm kind of focusing on this today for all of us, because this is a really important thing when you're making decisions around that. And so let's take this a little bit down. We're going to go down a little bit more into the small and medium business market, but specifically just talking a little bit about data and security and data breaches. So 10% year-on-year growth in data breaches in the market. And this is a year-on-year growth that we don't want to see. This is the opposite of growth that we want to see. And of those breaches, what we're seeing is an 18% increase in ransomware. The top industry, for those who on the call in manufacturing, I'm so sorry, but you seem to be the most targeted vertical industry that the hackers are going after, 2x what you would see elsewhere in other markets. And that was, I think, just under 700 different individual organizations globally that were impacted or targeted by ransomware attacks. The average cost, and so this is a really key one for the conversation you're going to be thinking about as you go forward in all of your initiatives. The cost of a data breach is 4.9, nearly $5 million USD. Zscaler or Zscaler, if you're American, reported the largest ransom payment of 75 million last year. We won't say which customer it was because they won't tell us because it's confidential, but this is the kind of magnitude of scale. And so if you can invest money, there is an ROI based on the fact that you're avoiding unknown ROI via the fact that it's not a matter of, we know it's not a matter of if you will be breached or hacked, it's a matter of when, right? So 43% of the cyber attacks, nearly half of them are targeting the small and mid-sized businesses. And that's not just a statement anywhere. That when you think about Canada as a market, as a segment of the world and global, we have 90% of the people that are working in Canada actually work and support in small and medium businesses. Canada is a mid-market country. And so when we think about that, that is a lot of people. That is a lot of customers that could be impacted by a security breach. And then the worst part of that is that 60% of those businesses that are breached close. And I think you can think about the reasons why. If the cost of a ransomware is on average nearly $5 million, and again, US statement, then you can think about the cost of trying to mitigate a breach, let alone the cost of trying to stay afloat after you've been hit by a breach, because the impact is not just the cost of replacing hardware, mitigation or remediation assessments to try and get your environment secure again, but what also is happening is the loss of customers, the customers that lose trust in you and will never come back to you forever and ever until their memory lapses, kind of like my dad brain. I forget stuff, but I think customers tend to have a longer memory than myself. And so we do everything from the supply chain, but also holding our partners and alliance partners responsible. And so the Lenovo privacy program is not just about our end user customers who are buying stuff through the website or through CDW, but it's also our partners like VMware, Intel, AMD, et cetera. We provide compliance reviews, there's contract safeguards and privacy statements that we all integrate into those relationships to hold them accountable to us, who are accountable to you. Right? So supply chain security, a little bit more about that. These are 8 boxes that really kind of hit on all the things that we do in order to make sure that we're protecting the asset from the time that you place an order with us to the time that it arrives on your dock and gets deployed. So we do everything from having Intel provide, we're the first to do this with Intel Transparent Supply Chain, which actually gives a birth certificate. It's not a real birth because it's certainly not birthed by some mother server. It's actually created, but these birth certificates really are sort of that tracking hologram that basically creates a unique tracker so we know where the asset is at any given time, and it provides accountability to all of us. Secure shipping, so obviously we have a supply chain that is impregnable. I would say impregnable is probably an overstatement, but as impregnable as we can make it, because again, when you're dealing with third parties, you can only go so far. But again, as I've said, we hold them accountable. Manufacturing, so again, it's Lenovo owned and controlled. We actually have X-ray inspections of our gear. I don't know if anyone's aware, but if you want to Google it sometime, or search engine, in case you don't like Google, you can just pick any one of the vendors and just put breach or hack, and you will find that everybody has been impacted by this. And I'm talking about my competitors, and we've all had a little bit of a black eye in the past. Lenovo had a challenge back in 2015, but we've done tremendous works to make sure that it hasn't happened again. And so these are things, and that wasn't even a breach. That was actually just a misunderstanding around Redfish and some software that we were putting on units, and that was a PC statement. So server and infrastructure at Lenovo are absolutely strong and secure, and you have great confidence in what we do. And then bottom right there, secure management. So we have a base management controller called xClarity, and that provides a single platform to manage all the devices, and it's very secure, and it's based on secure industry standards and goes beyond that as well. And again, I think you saw blockchain at the bottom there. We use that as well because it's it's more impregnable than encryption code, which we know can actually be hacked if the bad actors are able to get in. So a little bit more, a little redundancy is important as a basic premise of data center design. Very redundant content as well. So again, we've got a lot of pieces here that show you that we have a great, strong security practice and complement. No compromise. That's the way we say, right? So 100% USA audit compliance. We actually operate in all levels of the government, which is also a great statement. My division supports public sector for all of Central and Western Canada, and we have a large number of federal and provincial and municipal governments that all leverage our product and go through an extensive vetting process as well. So to make sure that the systems that we as citizens are leveraging as public citizens, that our data is as protected as possible as the government can provide. We leverage Intel TPM and all the other good bells and whistles that you'll see around immutable root of trust within our BIOS systems so that it can't be changed out or swapped out by, again, bad actors. And then With that said, let's move on to sustainability. And I will get to AI. These are all things that are leading up to AI, I promise you. But sustainability, and I'm not talking sustainability by environmental goals and all that stuff. What I'm talking about is the world that we live in, and around sustainability and our initiatives around leveraging technology to drive these AI platforms. And so what you will see, and what you may have heard, if any of you have been in IT for longer than 3 months, which I'm sure you all are, is that there has been this change in thermals around power demand. So I think if you can recall, about 6 to 7 or 8 years ago, there was this move by Intel and AMD to provide power efficiency into the data center and saving cost, right? Get you an ROI by putting more performance into the same processor at a lower wattage. The lower wattage as results in lower thermals in the data center. It potentially allows you to increase the heat in the data center and save a little bit of money. But now, since the advent of AI, we're going in the other direction now. So what you'll hear and you'll see, NVIDIA's launched a 2200 watt GPU or APU that you'll see in the market. And so I want everyone on this call, as you're thinking about your AI initiatives, to start thinking again about not just, hey, which LLM or SLM or RAG model am I going to deploy within my environment, but what am I going to do and where am I going to do it? So if you have a on-prem and you want to do on-prem, you want to do a private AI model, you really want to think about the power and cooling that you're going to be doing in your data center, because I think what we have is some scenarios where customers that don't have the coloco or the hosting company doesn't have the capability of supporting the high demand and wattage and heat that is created by some of these systems. And so we've got some innovations around how to mitigate that I'm going to take you through that is really, really cool. And we've been doing it for well over a decade now. And so I'll take you through what's called Neptune liquid cooling, which is going to show you something that our competitors are starting to catch up to us, but only just now. And because we've got a 10-year head start, there is nothing on the planet that really comes close to the efficacy and the validation of the solutions that we provide to mitigate these types of things. So when you're deploying an AI model within your own environment, your own data center, you have to be cognizant of not just the floor space that you have, but you also be thinking about those thermals and even acoustics, right? I don't know if anyone's ever tried to have a conversation in a data center, but when you're now trying to cool more compute, the noise is going to go up, and it becomes quite a distraction for you to be able to even pay attention within those data centers. Not like we're going into the data center to have a conversation, but my point is it becomes so loud from an acoustic perspective. We have to be mindful of not just heat, not just power, but also acoustics and floor space. There's a lot of things to think about that Lenovo has that we can bring to bear to help you achieve these goals. And so sustainability is not just about how we manage through xClarity, and how we do that by managing and monitoring the energy through our xClarity Energy Manager, not just through the technology provided through power supplies, hyper efficient power supplies, but we also use things like heat exchangers, thermal transfer modules, rear door heat exchangers, and as I mentioned, Neptune liquid cooling, direct liquid cooling, and then complemented by something that CDW does very, very well, which would be implementation services around asset recovery to help you mitigate some of the sustainable goals you're trying to do through e-waste, CO2 offset as well, and other things. So remember that we have a partner in CDW and in Lenovo, and we work hand in hand to help you address all of these really important sustainability goals. And again, it's a measured approach that you take on a layered in a layered way, so that you're really trying to address how I'm managing my sustainability, both from the hardware, but in the services and support from the beginning of the inception of the asset coming into your environment through to the disposition of it into, hopefully not into a landfill, right? So when you think about asset recovery and destruction, we melt them down, we get all the little components, the titanium, the copper, and all those metals can be repurposed. So really good story there. A little bit more on that. The 4 on the middle and right, factory integrated racks, sustainable packaging. Everybody does that, but the 2 on the left, Lenovo Neptune and Lenovo TrueScale, are the 2 things that differentiate us in the market. The Neptune, as I mentioned, liquid cooling, and TrueScale is a consumption as a service model that I will take you through and later on in this presentation. So let me take you a little bit more through Neptune. right? So when you think about liquid cooling, it comes in a few different flavors, right? So I'll mention Neapolitan ice cream in a little bit, but right now there are different ways in deploying liquid cooling into your data center. This being the fully direct liquid cooling. You can see copper piping all throughout the server, right? This is a skin server. Obviously, the top has been taken off, and you can see copper piping. It's using warm water because everybody would be concerned. Whoa, goodness me! Cold water causes condensation and would obviously destroy the server. So we use liquid warm water with a little bit of I believe it's a glycol that's added to that to make sure that there isn't calcification and other issues that go on. And you can see there's a couple ports there at the back. That's basically wired in and plugged into piping. It's literally plumbed in. And the good cool thing about liquid Neptune cooling is it doesn't stop at the server. This same heat that we're extracting from the servers could be repurposed to provide through heat exchangers. We could provide heat to other parts of your company, into your office, or if you need to heat something else within your organization. So Canada being what it is, it gets really cold here. This is another way that you can mitigate and add some additional cost and value savings into your organization. Where do I see liquid Neptune cooling at this level? Typically in high performance compute clusters, such as the one that we're deploying in SciNet, which is University of Toronto. We have a massive deployment that we're just getting underway with them. And then we have a few other universities out west as well that are fresh in my mind, and although there are many others, but those ones as well are using liquid Neptune liquid cooling as well to help them achieve their goals, save cost, and improve their sustainability story for them and their users. So again, here's a little bit more. We're now in our 6th generation. Had to do a little slide editing, as you can see. You caught me. But on the far left is a thermal transfer module. And basically what that is that's extracting or pulling the heat away from the processor. Typically you'll see a processor with a heat sink on top, and the heat just goes up and the heat sink disperses it. This actually extracts it and pulls it further away, because what happens in an AI model or an AI environment, that heat can become too cumbersome and it stays within the chassis and it can start melting or causing fires within the environment. Then you can move to liquid cooling, liquid to air cooling, which is sort of an advancement of that. The air that comes out via a heat exchanger, et cetera, can actually be cooled so that the data center stays cooler. Core system and then full system technologies are really what I showed you on the prior slide with the whole piping and the copper piping for you to consider. Okay, so you can certainly think about these things as you're going to go down this route of AI. I'm not going to hit on this slide again. It's just a redundant slide again, but it really does kind of pronounce the fact and a little bit more of a screenshot closer so you can sort of see how the piping is in there and isn't impactful to the environment. The efficient technology we do, so there is a management tool as well around the heat and thermals. That's, as I mentioned, was the energy manager and thermal manager within xClarity. And what that does is it basically helps your IT administrators know if there's an event happening. And I'll give you an example of an event that had nothing to do with Lenovo, but originally we thought it might. So we had a storage solution sitting at a customer who was using a hosting company, a co-loco hosting company to host their data center. And there's a broader statement that I'm getting to with this. That customer called us quickly after they started experiencing thermal events within their storage arrays. We quickly did a critical situation, submitted that, got an on-site engineer to go on into the data center. And what we discovered was that co-location data center was actually pushing heat onto the array. So it was something outside of our environment that we were unaware of. And so the causation of that actually was outside of our environment, but our systems management was able to identify that and alert the IT admin before they had a cataclysmic event and had everything melt down. And if you want to hear the end result of that story, well, the customer is now moving their data center, which is costing a lot of money. We're providing a lot of support around that, helping them get into a data center that's going to be much more easier for them to not have to worry about these types of thermal things. So just wanted to share that one with you because of the fact that there are things that we don't think about when we're moving to the cloud or we're using hosting companies, which I think are pretty predominant within the small and medium business, because we don't always in the small and medium businesses have the data center space. And so a lot of times we're outsourcing that. So just a good thing, food for thought. Think about the data center when you're assessing your data center. Make sure that they can handle the new workloads that you're putting in there and making sure that they have the ability to cool them and run them efficiently. All right, so now we're going to get deeper in, talk about AI, but really hybrid cloud, because when we think about small, medium businesses, you can be anywhere from 1 or 2 employees right up to hundreds of employees. And again, with the Canadian market, we need to think about whether or not our IT is going to be serviced through the cloud or through on-prem hybrid cloud, or multiples of both. And so let's talk about what the market is doing and what we're seeing. It is a multi-cloud world for sure. I think many of you may have heard the statement, which started about 3, 4, 5 years ago, around, hey, most of the organizations that have moved to the cloud, 80% of those IT leaders are trying to get that data back. They're trying to repatriate the data because they want to own it. Everybody loves data, want to hug it, you want to kiss it, you want to nurture it, but you also want to protect it. And I think if we all think about last week with the Microsoft CrowdStrike outage, that was a cloud inference of, oh my goodness, what happens when the cloud goes down? A lot of us have preconceptions that the cloud is impregnable, that the cloud is redundant, that the cloud is managed and firmware patched as frequently as we'd like. That is not the case. And so the question is, can you do it better? And I believe, based on the message that we hear from a lot of IT leaders out in the world, most of them, a large variety of them, over almost 80% of them, do believe that is the case. And so these are some of the things that I hope and encourage you to think about as you're going down the route of AI, because as you add this infrastructure into your solution stack and the things that you're doing for your organizations, these are really important things to think about as to where you're going to put it and how you're going to manage it and own it. All right. So again, we see a lot of off-prem cloud computing infrastructure. There's kind of a mixture of that. So I think it's a good thing to use the cloud, absolutely. But think wisely about where you want this to do. And again, performance is key, right? With AI, you're doing a lot of compute in a data set that could be extracted from your location. And so speed is very, very important in how you're managing that data and where it lives. 9 and 10 believe IT has become more complex. I almost think that's probably closer to 10 out of 10. That probably is a reality. As you can see, the top 2 that I've kind of talked about, which is what we're here today for, is a need to incorporate new and emerging technology. Sorry, I got a bit of a speech impediment today. And then the cybersecurity landscape, right? So AI is this incredible innovation that's happening globally and personally, but also that securing that landscape and securing that innovation and the technologies. And then obviously post-pandemic and pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, what does remote and hybrid work like? How do we make sure that the infrastructure supports our end users and our customers all the way? And then I won't read the whole survey there, but I think you can get my point. There's a lot of things to think about in a complex and changing market. On-premises infrastructure is poised to flex in 2024. What does that mean? Well, with the advent of AI, when customers are moving that data back into the data center that they want to own and control and secure and manage, they also now have more AI considerations to bring into that data center. So much to what I'm repeating over and over here again is, do you have the capacity to develop that, and what can you spin out into the cloud, and what is important to retain? Also, IT wants to mitigate shadow IT, right? Cost exploding on the operational expensive organizations as they push, marketing sometimes does this, push workloads into the cloud to drive individual projects. But once that data is in the cloud, trying to get it back can be very costly, or once that data is in the cloud, it begins to grow and become more costly. So this is another reason why organizations are trying to move back to on-prem, because the ROI actually is now foreseen and visible and viewable for IT leaders to say, the cost to cloud can be exorbitant and can mitigate the growth of an organization. So again, be wise about how you leverage it. Modernization. So this is sort of what we need to talk about for small and medium businesses, because the wealth or the financial capabilities of small and medium businesses varied. It is very varied. And so not a lot of the organizations like yourselves have potential the capital outlay, the liquidity to be able to go and implement some of these technology changes in order to create more secure, more efficient, and AI solutions for what you're trying to achieve. And so just be aware that while we're moving from spinning disk to flash disk, NVMe, et cetera, there's additional costs in that, but there's also additional benefits from performance that you gain out of that. So again, ROI conversation that your friends at CDW and Lenovo can help you on your journey and help you have a conversation around that. So 76% of people agree that all flash data center would offer them strategic benefits, right? That speed and agility through flash is insurmountable. It really takes us from spinning disk to that in another way, right? We know that when you're driving a car down the road, it's all mechanical, it's all moving parts, and so there's a high chance that it's going to fail. If you had some kind of device that didn't have any moving parts, you can see how you mitigate risk around that. And so flash storage does that quite well. And so we talk about the hybrid cloud advantage. And so all the vendors, all the manufacturers you see do have solutions around that. But again, I'm trying to differentiate by talking about our philosophy around the data center, around our security, innovation, and reliability statements. And so we provide that flexibility, low TCO, great ROI, edge to cloud. We can do it all. And we have integrated AI as well into our solution stack across our good friends at Nutanix VMware. And here we are. We're going to go into the Neapolitan ice cream I mentioned earlier. So I'm a chocolate guy. My daughters are strawberry, and I will do the vanilla if I mix it in with the chocolate. So you got Nutanix, Microsoft, and VMware, all different flavors based on what platforms you're standardized on. So we don't dictate to you what you need. We ask a lot of questions and understand what your needs are, and then we'll go through a scoping and discovery process to figure out what is right for you. And if you're standardized on one, that is fine. I will say that we go back a moment to last week, again, CrowdStrike and Microsoft outage. A lot of the industry experts are now saying taking a heterogeneous approach to your data center and your solution stack is really important to mitigate some of the downtime or foreseen downtime. So if a stack of infrastructure goes down because of a breach or an issue around a BIOS or a patch that happens to take it, if you have disparate other systems that are not reliant on that same software or firmware scenario, then you have a little more resiliency, redundancy within your environment. And so just some tidbits of advice that I've been hearing over the last week, principles and practices to help you achieve your goals. And then all of our platforms are AI ready, right? We've been doing this for a lot of years. You've heard of machine learning. This is something that that is AI in all intents and purposes. You know, things organizations that have started doing this would have been like the airline industry. So I don't know, airlines like to save money, and one of the most expensive things on the planet is jet fuel. And so if you can use IoT sensors, which would be barometric pressure sensors, speed indicators, wind speed, and all those things in a jet as it's flying through the air, and knowing what wind speed is at different altitudes, the planes can then change altitude or change direction to save cost in that route from point A to point B in the transit of all the lives that are on board. And so that hopefully helps provide a bit of an ROI and value back to end user customers by saving costs for the organization so they can remain competitive in the industry. So this is kind of some of the ideas that some of the organizations around the world are using to take these types of learning and data to help propel them into new ways of doing business and being successful at it. And so now let's get into the AI part, which you've all been waiting for, I'm sure. As I have been talking about AI the whole time, but let's get a little bit more into it deep. So market statements, let's talk about the market first before we get into stuff, because I think all of you want to hear a little bit more about stuff, but I also think we need to talk about the market. So this data is a little old, maybe about a little bit over a year, but I would say, you know, estimations, 42% of customers are exploring AI adoption. I'm pretty sure 100% of you on this call are. And so I think that's a bit of a shortfall in an estimation. I think it is significantly more. 35% or a third is probably closer to 50% of customers are now using it. When you think of Copilot that just launched, you're definitely using AI. It's happening maybe on your PC device, maybe elsewhere, but on your phone, but it's definitely being utilized. And then top right, you'll see here, very, very significant market. So the TAM, the total addressable market within this particular space, is enormous. So opportunity for all of you given the fact, I think, as I mentioned, there are some AI customers on this call, manufacturing, et cetera. The AI ability for it to have a significant impact on your business is absolutely pronounced. So you can see there's a lot of things that go into play. It's not just software. There's almost a quarter of $1 trillion in that, but we got services, so implementation, data scientists, right? You're going to need resources. How do I do AI? How do I implement it? I need people to show me and tell me. And oftentimes our small and medium businesses here don't have a data scientist on staff. We do, and we'd be happy to lend them to you to help you on your journey. And then obviously you can see there's a lot of hardware needed. Absolutely. And then at the bottom there, what a really important thing is all about data. And I think we have to think about data very specifically because that is AI. AI is purely data with a software layer on it and how to interpret and communicate using AI with basic English to extract data and insights. But how does data interoperate? How does AI interoperate with that data is another thing. And so we have so much data out there. How is AI going to help make sure it's pulling the right answers and right responses for the needs and requirements of your customers and yourselves as you go? Because that's a lot of data. We're getting to zettabytes, and I don't even know what comes after that. So that is a lot of data. Mega trends in AI. So yes, very, very complex modeling. Infrastructure and solutions. It's not so simple of like the old days where you wanted to virtualize and you wanted to understand what that looks like. This is a tremendous lift for a lot of organizations, and CDW and Lenovo want to help you on that journey. Explosion of data, a shift to compute. So interesting enough, I think many of you may have also heard around hyperconverged infrastructure. So HCI was a big thing about 10 years ago, right? The consolidation of storage and compute into one compute node, right? So very dense servers with a lot of storage in them. Now, when we're thinking about AI and this explosion of data, that is not a good way to manage because you're either scaling out or you're trying to scale up. And depending on your software platforms, you may be limited in which way you go, or grow would be the better way to put it. So as you're ingesting a lot of new data through your AI modeling, an HCI infrastructure isn't as viable. You want to have separated storage because you need the ability to scale and scale up that capacity very rapidly because of the amount of data you're going to be intaking and producing as well. And so the shift to compute is actually moving away from the storage and the consolidated platform on HCI and moving more to dedicated compute with GPUs or APUs within that to be able to drive that computational algorithm that assesses the data that's sitting in the storage array that the AI modeling has to interpret for you when you ask it a question or submit a token, so to speak. And then edge AI, which is contributing to the explosion of data, is, again, as we talked about manufacturing, because it's a great example, but edge compute is also creating a lot of this data. And we also want to get insights from a lot of these outsourced areas of the data center. So places outside the data center that we want to extract data from so that the AI can interpret and provide value back to the business. So Lenovo has an incredible edge platform, which I will take you through once we get into the stuff, to talk about how our edge compute is leading in the industry and how we can help get that information collated at the edge and bring it into your data center so that your AI modeling is going to work at its optimal way. You want the freshest, most viable data that you can get. And so having that edge infrastructure is really important to helping you make decisions within your organization. And then, as I mentioned before, and I probably hit this one home really hard, hardware, power, and thermals, growing, exploding. So how we got to make sure that we're addressing those things in the ways that we design our AI modeling. Here is a mega trend sort of global perspective of some of the ways that organizations are using today. And I'm only going to spend another second on this while you go through it. These are probably things you could have just chimed off in your head. But what's more important is how is SMB using AI? And so Microsoft did a recent study, I think it was in the first quarter, or actually would have been their Q4 or first part of this year, March, April, May timeframe, specifically for Canadian businesses. So small, medium businesses very specifically, so very relevant to everyone on this call. 78% of Canadians SMB businesses are currently seeking to adopt AI. So 100% of this call, 78%, Pretty close. Good job, Microsoft. 57% of SMBs are using AI always or often. And I think that's a statement of Copilot. I think there is a reality there that is an integrated, forced solution that I think we're all actually enjoying. I think it is making my day better when I can get on a call like this or a meeting with my team, and it'll give me a meeting notes at the end, and I don't have to do that. Oh my goodness, that's so much efficiency time back. I get to spend time with my kids and maybe on a Friday go to a patio after work. It's really enjoyable. 37% are invested in AI in 2023, and 70% will continue to invest. So obviously, the funding and the perspective of organizations is to invest in this area, because there is absolutely optimization that they can get through their productivity and their sales. And they're encouraging their team members to do that. So why are SMBs investing in AI? Obviously, very, very key, but these are the four key ones: efficiency, agility, customer satisfaction, security, secure business continuity, excuse me, boosting creativity and meaningful work. Sometimes my dad brain doesn't work so hot. So for example, when I was preparing for this presentation, our friends at CDW asked me just for a quick summary of to present to you, what is this session about? What is this presentation about? And I honestly say, I admit I did cheat. I did use a little AI to get me started, but then I added the human element, and I refined it, changed it, did a little of my wordsmithing and made it better. But it saved me a good 10 minutes at the beginning and only cost me a couple minutes at the end. So these are great examples of how we can use it. And in SMBs and large corporations, you'll see 52% are using virtual and customer assistance. So chatbots. I don't know if anyone read the paper a few months ago. Air Canada had a little bit of a uh-oh with their chatbot, cost them a little bit of bad PR, but a customer won out because it made an error and it told him to cancel his flight, and he got his money back. So there's great stuff happening there. But those are really important models because it's providing a better support for customers, right? Or employees. Obviously, time savings and efficiency. I gave you an example of that. And then image and content creation. So the ability to do that. And one thing that's not on here that I think is really important is around diversity and inclusion. So as an organization, I've been part of employee resource groups, which are basically internal organizations that kind of drive community within the organization. And one of the groups that I was in was focused around disability, and how do we bring disability and make it more accessible to all, so that our team members who are colorblind or have any kind of sensory impairment or physical impairment, like my brother who's a quadriplegic, this is helping using technology like AI to help them achieve their goals in a more efficient way. My brother often says, everything I do that you do takes me 10 or 20 times longer. And so, I having conversations with him, AI really is helping him. Sometimes it's not just voice to text in his phone, but it actually helps him do some of the work that he does in music production, helps him do it faster, so that he can get on to the really fun part. But the other piece I think around disability is also labeling of slides. So something I haven't done here, and I apologize for anyone who may be subject to this, but the labeling of slides. So for example, describing pictures or images that are on the slide. Oftentimes, if there is a disability factor included, there will be a text descriptor of what that picture is for people who may be sight impaired or blind. Okay, so great use cases that AI can bring to small and medium business customers. And one I mentioned on here that isn't on the slide, Microsoft didn't get that in the survey, but I thought it was really important to share with you today. All right, so thinking about all the things I've talked about to this point, we have complex hardware, we have a weak data strategy, and that's not a statement of you. That's the fact that this is a new and innovative part of the market that we need to understand better. And how do we protect and understand that data? How does the language model, when we're training it, how do we make sure that it's interpreting it so that when it moves to the inference level, that it's providing accurate results and not causing, as I mentioned earlier with Air Canada, causing an impact or a negative PR situation for your organization. Additionally, number 3, lack of AI skills. Not many of us have a data scientist at our fingertips. And then responsible AI, really about governance and compliance, about ethics in AI, and providing respectful AI that isn't so sassy that it's insulting or creates a bad situation by making statements that are biased or negative to the perception of your organization. And so responsible AI is really important and not something that I often think about. But I do hear from many of our customers that in the committees that they've created to discuss AI, this is one of the top things specifically for like the legal verticals. This is really important for them. And so how does the legal vertical mitigate or address that concerns around using cloud AI? Well, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar, but there is a RAG model, which is retrieval augmented generative generation, which basically is a validated data set before the AI model. So that data set is validated either by your staff or your team, and the data within that set is very resilient and proven. It's trustworthy. And so you can use AI with that RAG model and then leverage that open or outsourced data set that is much more significant to fill in some of the blanks that have lower risk to you if they're filled in, such as people's names or market information, or et cetera, things that are going to be less concerning for you if you make an error, because your integrity is really important. And here's the reality, right? Reality versus marketing. What we think is data, AI, value, boom. No, it's not. You can see there below, it's a very complex situation. We're looking at data, selecting the data, sourcing the data, synthesizing it. And then you get into the data science part, which is engineering and modeling it, and going through all that. And then value. What operationalization are you doing in order to bring that to a true a way of bringing that value back to your organization through management, monitoring, and reporting the outcomes that you're getting through the AI and its usage within your customer or internal team members. This is not a chart I'm expecting you to read. This is just sort of a chart that intimidated me when I saw it, because it should intimidate all of us. There is a lot of players in this industry, and I think what we're going to see over the coming years is you're going to see some consolidation. There will be some winners, there will be some losers, and this chart will gradually shrink. There will be new ones that come online. There will be acquisitions, but what you're seeing here is that there are hundreds of AI startups that are getting into the game. And so you're going to need help as an organization sort of disseminating which ones are the most appropriate, right? There's a lot of LLMs and SLMs out there, large language models and small language models that you have to consider, and not all of them are as good as some of them. So we have to help you along the way in helping assess what is appropriate within that language model. And so hybrid AI, which is sort of leveraging that in on-premise model, as I talked about, with any one of those solutions or other solutions. It doesn't have to be Nutanix, Microsoft, or VMware. There are lots of other players that we partner with as well at Lenovo. But to kind of point out another data slide that just sort of talks a little bit about all the cool things that Lenovo's done, that we have a pronounced experience within this market. We have great customers that we can share with you, and we actually have a community called AI Innovators that brings AI innovator customers together in a community to share knowledge and ideas around what they're doing. DreamWorks is sort of our flagship customer, great CGI VFX company that we all know and love. They brought us some great movies that we get to enjoy with our kids or as kids. And so this is a great customer that we have meeting with our other customers and talking about the cool stuff. And oh, by the way, DreamWorks is also Neptune liquid cooled. All right, so 3 types of AI, right? Again, basics down to basics. Personal AI, we talked about Copilot, private AI, which is what we're talking about now, if you're looking to do that with your own data sets and building it within contained model, and then public, which is, ChatGPT being the most obvious example of public cloud. All right, so competitive requirements through responsible AI, all important. There are 3 ways to leverage and create that value in AI. You can buy, you can borrow, you can build. So there are models that you can use today. ChatGPT is a great one. It's in the public cloud. Anybody can use it. Is it providing you the best responses? It gets better and better, but specifically for your organization, it may not be the case. borrow. There are places that have platforms that have specific infrastructure dedicated that you can borrow, rent, if you can call it that, and then build. Really, mostly what we're talking about today is sort of how does a data science team build AI from scratch? How can you go down that road? And we can help with any one of these three flavors, provide you some guidance and the benefits and pros and cons to all of these things with our friends at CDW. So top 10 things to take away, and I'm certainly not done, but it's really important. You can't buy AI. You can only use the technologies to solve a business problem. And so again, just some top 10 things that you need to think about, right? It's evolving rapidly, so it's changing. So be careful which one you invest in. You can go down a road and then find you got to backpedal and come back. Expectations, we think the world is going to change because of AI, and yes, it will, but it's going to take some time. A lot of the scenarios that we're seeing right now is just growing pains that we're experiencing. The digital demands are increasing. I talked about explosive data. We talked about the needs and demands of getting collating data at the edge, workplace and workforce disruption. So hybrid work, it's everywhere. Inferencing is everywhere. Everybody's trying to sell AI or position AI as value, and they're collecting data as you're using it, by the way. Infrastructure needs to evolve. Absolutely. We don't look at the traditional way. As I mentioned, HCI is not something that's going away, but it is causing customers to think, if I'm going to adopt AI, this isn't the most efficient model or cost-efficient model in order to achieve that goal. Data collection, aggregation, governance, really important. So forget another thing to think about is if you are going to use leverage public cloud and you have customers that maybe have a concern around compliance, some customers in Canada need the data that they're using or that you're using to be stored and leveraged in Canada. So think about that as well. Really important around the governance piece. AI requires continuous investment. So make sure that you don't just earmark it as a one and gun shot. Remember that you're going to have a year-on-year fiscal evaluation of cost and incurring, because AI will grow. It's like a baby. It will grow, but it actually will continue to grow, and it'll become a 1,000-foot monster in due time if you aren't managing, controlling, and monitoring what you're trying to do. And then the last one there was make sure you partner with partners like CDW in order to make sure that you're achieving those goals through a trusted partner that is going to make sure they see you from cradle to grave, and bring in manufacturers like Lenovo to help you achieve those goals. So yeah, you can start anywhere. Personal, private, public. There's a lot of things to think about. There's services that you need to consider. There's even AI PC services, right? So everyone's heard about neural processing units. They're now going into all the PCs in the world. Apple, Dell, HP, and Lenovo all will have AI solutions built into their endpoints. So really, really important to consider that as well. There's a collation or collection of data that's happening on your endpoints for your customers and for yourselves on those endpoints. So that data may be of value to you as well. But this is just more of a key point of all the industries. And again, taking a building block approach to doing AI is really important. So thinking about the infrastructure. I'm a hardware guy, as I mentioned at the beginning, and so infrastructure is really critical. You will fall flat on your face if you pick the great LLM and you can solution and devise it and bring it into your premises, but if you don't build the right infrastructure, you don't have the infrastructure environment in order to support that, you're going to fall on your face, and it's going to be a bad state and a bad experience for you and wasted budget. And so really important to think about that. And how do we do that? Well, we have an AI Center of Excellence that helps you accelerate your AI journey. And then again, we have a partner ecosystem. I showed you that a blinding slide with a lot of logos on it, but that's to say that we have a lot of partnerships to help you on that journey. It's not just Lenovo, it's VMware, it's Intel, it's AMD, it's CDW. That partner ecosystem is all there to help you achieve those AI solutions you see on the far right. There are data quality and challenges in AI, right? Got to classify the data, the problem, acquire, process, model, validate, execute, operationalize. Again, it's just not going to go too deep into this. It's something you would do in an AI innovator session. The data science hierarchy of needs. So again, just showing the complexity of assessing the data. And again, you may be using a public model. But in this particular case, if you're looking to do it within your own data set, you need to be thinking about all of these component parts of the data set that you're utilizing. And so think about these things as you go. And again, CDW and Lenovo will be there side by side to help you go through business strategy to procurement and onboarding, becoming from an explorer and getting you to that innovator and leadership categories in your journey. Now, how are we going to do all that? Well, we're going to start by talking about some of the verticals and examples that some of these particular industries are using them. So I talked about some customers that Lenovo has, over 10 customers. And by the way, I think I can say some brands. Walmart is one of our biggest customers, one of our mainstay customers. And so great example of retail. I'll take you through an example of Kroger. Kroger is a US grocery chain. They've actually got some really cool AI systems that they're utilizing. And you'll hear a lot in retail that they're doing it for loss prevention and mitigation of shrinkage, which if you remember is theft. And so with all of these self checkout kiosks, cameras that can identify if somebody's changed a price tag, right? It's a $4.99 item, but wait a minute, that's a computer. There's no way that item is a $4.99 computer. And so AI is helping on that, because oftentimes the employee is busy with another customer and can't spot some of the shrinkage or theft that may be happening. I don't know if any of you also knew, but Target, when they were in Canada, we learned that they had one of the most advanced facial character recognition AI systems in the market, in the retail market. So as a customer would enter the store, and again, this is not on Lenovo so much, I'm just sharing an industry use case for you. As a customer would enter the store, the cameras would start focusing and acknowledging their face and tracking them as they move through the store. And so interesting enough, it could predict maybe not a good thing, predict customers that may be pregnant or expecting a baby, right? If they go into the baby section, they might get targeted ads as they're in the retail segment. Hey, there's a sale on diapers at Target, go to aisle 5, that kind of thing. So these are some of the innovations that you can use and deploy in your own environments. Manufacturing, we're talking about predictive maintenance, the ability to use sensors and monitors to know when systems, machinery is needing to go down or needs to be brought down to provide some maintenance and repair. Transport systems, right? Trucks, managing logistics and supply chains, know where your trucks are, finding faster routes, similar to the planes. How can you reroute your semis or tractor trailers to get to the endpoints faster and at lower cost to you, saving you some operational cost? Healthcare, so things like assessing and analyzing x-rays to identify fractures or cancers, really in a much more efficient and time-saving way. To err as human, so is to err as AI, right? But when we're looking at things like healthcare, these would be validated in very private solutions, and so that's where we talk about having a more efficacy within your data set, and then you can achieve those really important goals when it comes to AI. And then finance, obviously fraud detection, huge big deal there. Happens all the time. I wish it would notify me faster. And so we're now in a world that, while there are bad actors using AI to do evil, we also have AI kind of countering that. And so it's important that we keep up and manage that as well. And so be aware. Again, this is just a repetition of the prior slide. I'm just going to slide over that one, but I know many of you are in some of these industries, so I'll give it for a second or two while I take a little cup of drink of water, because I talk a lot and I need it. But you can look through the slide there and see if any of that resonates with you. All right, good. And now we're going to get into edge, which I mentioned before. Really important to talk about. What is edge computing? So computing capacity outside of your traditional data center brings that compute power closer to where the data is being generated, right? So rule of thumb with IT, with technology and computers, distance is the enemy, right? Whether it's a hard drive in a PC or in a server, how close or how fat the pipeline is to getting it to the processor, so the data transfer is rapid and fast, low latency. Such is the same case when you scale that out to the collection of data at the edge. And so there are a lot of challenges in that, but we have edge compute solutions that are tried and tested. They have really cool things like gyroscopes in them, because if, for example, you're mounting it on the outside of a building, it has environmental capability to address dust, cold, and heat, but also theft. So the little gyroscope actually acts if somebody gets on a ladder and tries to take that server, it notices that it's shifting and it can wipe the drives clean. So it becomes basically a brick to the thief, and they can't get your data, which is really important. So that's an innovative thing that Lenovo thought about when we're putting those devices out there, is the reality that if they're not contained within a secure data center, then they are at risk. And so we need to mitigate that risk through the innovation in the product stack and the way that we devise the hardware so that it addresses all of your concerns as best we possibly can. So again, all of these things are really key. There's a market that's very significant out there, but because many of you in the small medium business are quite innovative, these edge solutions are just really just compressed form factors. So if you are limited by space, you don't have to use a standard server or a tower server. There are edge boxes that can carry some of the workload that you're trying to do. It doesn't have to be for AI, but if you have limitations like you have a closet for your data center, some of these edge boxes would be absolutely a great solutions for you to think about how you're going to drive and power your IT infrastructure going forward. So think about that. They're smaller, shorter. I'll give you an example. We have a really cool customer that does AI lighting for the media and entertainment industry. So live shows like Taylor Swift or theater productions. And so they needed really quiet but small, that fit in those small racks that they have at the back of arenas or stadiums or concerts or theaters. They needed a really short and stubby form factor. And so edge comes into play, but they also needed really great acoustic capabilities around that as well. And that specifically meets the needs of needing a quiet environment in behind the performer or the performance that's happening beyond that particular device. You never want to have the silence and the audience is hearing the whir up of a boot of a system or some kind of system in the background. You want to create a nice acoustic quietness in your environments as best you can too. So we got it all. We got the edge to the core, to the cloud, and we bring AI to the data, right? That's the piece here. So again, just a product slide to let you know we got solutions that fit a variety of form factors and a variety of solutions with different capabilities based on what your needs are. The consolidation acceleration around the edge is really important. They are already artificially optimized. They are using, in most cases, the latest and greatest technologies, processors from Intel and AMD. And they obviously are also hybrid cloud optimized to help address those needs around your environments as well. Now, let's go into the data a bit more and talk about some of our products and portfolio around the storage solutions. And there's a wide variety, but we have a nice simplified perspective. But first, again, got to get back to credibility. Number one, in external storage globally for sub 25K USD. That's a really long statement for the past year and a half. Number two, in external storage capacity beyond less than $100,000. So again, we're small players so far, but we're growing very rapidly, and we've only been in the storage market as in the server market for a very short time. Our storage solutions, you will find, are based on NetApp ONTAP. So the operating system we use is NetApp with great familiarity, great brand in the industry. We're strong partners with NetApp. We build our own boxes, and just on the side, I'll let you know we also build their boxes. They are separate. They're designed separately and independently, but we do have our own boxes, and we provide a strong conversation by providing their operating system on our product because of the fluidity and capability of the ONTAP solution. So data uses drive data location, right? So edge, core, and cloud. Again, I kind of hit that one. Know that you're going to be collecting data for AI in all of these three areas. And so make sure that you are selecting a storage provider that is able to address these with high performance, high resilience, and strong capabilities. Hopefully I'm good on time so far. The data systems in an organization, point of sales, lead gen platforms, marketing, big data, data lakes. These are all areas that you may be utilizing in your environment. Lenovo is for certain. We've got to think about all that data and all the collection of that data and how we're going to address it and what platform we're going to choose. And so here is our portfolio. I'll talk about TrueScale. TrueScale is a consumption model. It is not a product. It is a solution that encompasses all of our hardware from pocket to cloud. And I say pocket because of the Motorola, the mobility group that we own and lead with, one of the fastest growing mobile companies on the planet. And so we have the ability to, as a service, all of this infrastructure and product into an as a service model, depending on what your needs are. But think systems, starting across the top there, enterprise storage, DE, DGDM series, and then D series, which are just JBODs. just a bunch of disks, storage, and tape. So we got it all. And then we have the Think Agile, which I talked about a little earlier. That was sort of that SDI, software-defined infrastructure solutions, Nutanix, Microsoft, and VMware. And then when we're really getting into software-defined storage, these are the hyper accelerators, really high-performing structure, solution structures, Cloudian, Weka. We also have DDN as well. These are all high performance for really large data sets. This is expensive stuff, but it performs incredibly fast and gets you sort of those needs. So it's something maybe to build to, but some of the small and medium businesses, big customers would absolutely have a need if that's the focus that they're at. And so we have storage to meet any flavor and requirement that you may have. And then at the bottom, you can see that we have a lot of partnerships with all of the industry leaders. So Veeam, a great industry backup and recovery, cloud-based backup and recovery vendor for those solutions, predominantly focused on the small, medium business, and a global leader in that world. And then you can see a lot of the other ones, Commvault being another great provider, Intel, OpenStack, SAP, Azure, AWS, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so just to focus a little bit on our core storage lines, DE, DG, and DM. What we had is DE. E kind of sort of stands for entry level, but it's an entry by no means, but it is simplified data management. It is an entry level storage, but it has great capacity. It is actually a really strong fit for SMB customers. Or if you do need a little bit more of unified storage, that includes block and object, the DG series actually provides a tremendous value and performance for the buck. It also integrates ransomware integration, ransomware protection integration within that stack. And then DM is sort of our highest end, largest capacity, provides leadership and flash performance. And so any one of these particular boxes and solutions can provide you some great storage performance to help your growing data needs as you go through your AI journey. And then again, I just going to focus on Weka and Cloudian, and DDN, which is not on the slide, but a new partner of ours. These are high performance file solutions, right? DDN being Lustre file, Weka being HPFS. These are kind of the things. And again, you can see some use cases here for you to consider in case any of those are resonating with you. We're more than happy for you once you reach out to your CDW team to get in a conversation and take you through a little bit more what some of these storage solutions can do for you. And then now we've talked about some hardware, we talked about some stuff, we talked about market. Now we're going to kind of talk a little bit about how you get started with Lenovo and CDW to take you on that journey. So we have cognitive solutions, core to edge, cloud to enterprise. We have 8 platform categories. There's actually 65 plus AI ready platforms, high performance storage and compute. So that's really important that we have high performance involved with AI. We have 4 global areas of excellence, centers of excellence. That's what COE stands for. These are all situated specifically around the globe so that we can address the customers and the markets that they serve. And all 180 countries plus that we support in a global fashion are all supported through that. Ours would be in North Carolina, which is where our head office for North America is located. Beautiful campus, and we'd be more than happy to host you if you ever want to come down and take a look on the under the covers of Lenovo and get a great customer experience. And then the really big, the big stick I get to swing here is the AI Innovators Program, which I mentioned about DreamWorks and the partner ecosystem that we include in that. That really is a community-based organization that also leverages a ton of resources with data scientists and customers to help you make the most educated decisions around your AI strategy. So lots of resources to help you on that journey. And then we want to be your AI partner of scale. And the reason being is obviously we have a great story to tell. We have great customers in our pocket that we can share with you and strategic alliances to help you on your journey. All right, so a little bit more about the AI Innovators Partner Ecosystem. So here you can see, not like that slide before that blurred my eyes and made me cry because I couldn't find glasses that would allow me to read all the little logos, but this is a little more focused perspective on those AI innovators and the capabilities that we have and the partnerships that we have with some of these amazing partners that you'll see out there. And again, not all of them, and not limited to these, but certainly we have great presence and capabilities in validating our solutions around this because of the fact that there's so much nuance around it. And so here we go. Sorry, Morrisville. There you go. North Carolina. There is our data center, AI Center of Excellence. Not too far. I think it's a 3-hour flight or less, just down to NC, and great environment as well to provide you workshops, partner collaborations, and oh, by the way, CDW is absolutely on side to come with you, and so we share in that experience with our partners and allow them and want them to come with you and experience these briefing centers and experience workshops together. So again, it's a community effort. Yourselves, CDW and Lenovo want to be there as a group, because again, you can't do it alone. You need a great extensive community to go on this journey. And again, more credibility, lots of cool stuff and lots of capabilities that we have with the partnerships that we bring to bear. But don't take our word for it. Let me talk a little bit about some of the customers, a little bit more detail. Logistics. So if anyone here is in supply chain logistics, it's a lot of stuff to think about and consider when you're looking at logistics. And so AI is a great contributor to accelerating, providing efficiency, reducing cost, and a good ROI around all of this. All the stuff around logistics and supply chain, fraud protection, access monitoring, pallet delivery, supply chain inventory. So AWS with cameras can look and see what on the racks if an item is out of stock, and then go reach out through AI, go and reach out and engage procurement to go and get those the shelves stocked again with new product. Nothing worse than losing a sale to a competitor because you're out of inventory, right? And so the more efficient you can create with logistics and supply chain with AI certainly is going to be a tremendously good ROI for you. Here's 3 different ones I mentioned using Deep Brain AI. I believe that's a Kroger experience on the left. We've got oil and gas in the middle, and then obviously transportation industry in the far right. 3 different AI models, Deep Brain, guys, and wait time. These are all technologies that were employed on our hardware, Lenovo hardware, in order to execute on really cool goals, not just for retail on the far left, not just for theft and shrinkage protection, but also this kind of concierge or clerk that you could provide to your customers, whether it's online or in a kiosk in a store to help customers navigate. Hey, I need to know where the canned shrimp, where the shrimp is, or I need to know where the canned tomatoes are, and can tell you, hey, that's in aisle 5, row 3 on the top shelf, right? So these are really good things that are providing customer value. And by the way, the AI could actually tell that customer a certain route. You could tell the AI, take them on a route that takes them past a lot of profit panels or a lot of things to add to their cart and get them buying more stuff. So these are really cool ways that organizations are leveraging AI to sort of drive an ROI within AI. Excuse me, a lot of acronyms there. So talked about loss prevention, talked about logistics. I'm not going to spend too much more time here. I think I got about 9 minutes or less, and we're almost done, which is really cool. So fast track those AI conversations with Lenovo AI professional services practice, right? We will help you through workshop, through resources, and through our partnerships with CDW and other partners in the community, Intel's, AMD's, et cetera, of the world. We will help you on that journey. It is a collaborative effort to get this AI going, and maybe we'll even use AI to help you on the journey to help you get those insights for your own AI modeling. So really, really cool stuff. And then, the far right there is managed services, right? So we talked about earlier around how, when you've implemented AI, that you need to continually provide a cost injection into it, because it will grow and it will become a pretty, what do you call it, a BHAG, right? Big, hairy, atrocious, or a monster, right? Or a BHAG, right? So big deal there that you need to be thinking about. So you want to have managed services and partner like CDW that's going to come in and help you maintain and manage that particular infrastructure as you go. Small businesses, as we know, not all of you have a large or dedicated IT team in order to manage these services. And so it's important for you to partner with trusted providers that can help you execute on those goals and achieve that without having you to go and provide more capital outlay to go and hire talent in a very, very demanding market, right? There's a lot of nuances to managing that. And so there are others that can manage it for you and do a great job. So consider that as well. And then all the big wrapper I'm going to put around all that hardware stuff and all the solutions that we're talking about, not just AI, but anything that you're looking to do with Lenovo can be done on TrueScale as a service consumption. And it's dependent on what you are planning to do. But this is a way of empowering you to reduce your cost and help get your foot into some of these solutions to base your utilization and your cost based on, excuse me, use your cost or manage your cost based on utilization as opposed to having to do a front capital outlay. So what's different about consumption, as you know, is it's not a finance model, right? So you can buy a bunch of PCs or a bunch of servers and you can finance them either CapEx, capital expenditure. It's a straight payment at the end, you own the gear. Or you can do what they call a fair market value, where same thing, but you're paying a slightly lower rate, like kind of like a car lease. And at the end, there's a fair market value component that you need to either buy the assets or you can refresh. So depending on your strategy around your IT technology, one or the other. Where TrueScale comes in is it takes that modeling, but it also provides a lower cost, typically, if it's not a CapEx model, because we can do CapEx with TrueScale, but it can provide a lower cost and point of entry based on utilization. So how do we do that? So we use the xClarity, the base management controller within the servers. That actually has an energy monitor or manager, and it manages a TrueScale tool, which is basically just a monitoring tool, will see where your CPU utilization is at any given point. And so you're not paying as much for the times that you're not utilizing or fully utilizing that particular compute node. You're going to pay as you demand, as your demand goes. So your price goes up as your demand throttles, but obviously the benefit to you of having a fully utilized server is going to be significant, because if it's being utilized, you're probably perceiving or receiving some kind of ROI back. And so this is a great way of managing that cost without it being necessarily a uniform cost, but it's more attuned to your growth and capabilities as an organization. So a lot of customers are coming on board with TrueScale because they see the power and capability. And there's some really cool additional features you get with TrueScale, which is you get priority queuing. So for example, you've built out your TrueScale stack, it's operating great. All of a sudden you need another node because you're growing, right? And this is a great story for any small, medium business customer. You're growing, great news. So what you want is you want to be able to quickly adapt and ramp and get that extra node into the infrastructure so that you can continue to grow. So TrueScale actually gets priority in our supply chain. We want to make sure that those customers definitely get more attention and care. And then we also provide a customer success manager that's helping manage and monitor that particular solution stack. And again, that stack doesn't have to be on-prem. You could put it in a co-location hosting company if you choose. Or elsewhere. But that particular customer success manager will provide periodic reporting, updates, and will help you on the firmware and patching and make sure that that stack is managed and fully deployed and up to speed and optimized for all of the workloads that you're throwing at it, AI or otherwise. So there's a really great value proposition within the TrueScale model that takes it to that next level. It is a single unified framework, it has flexible consumption, and it actually has a very low point of entry too, which I'm very proud of, because we are, as I mentioned, Canada is a small, medium business country. And so having a low point of entry for these types of solutions, and this particular as a service consumption model, is really important. And the other thing is that TrueScale typically mitigates a lot of the challenges that you would see in moving fully to the cloud, which is, how do I get my data back? Because you already got it. And the other piece is, the explosion of data and the cost once it's in the cloud can be very restrictive to managing your budget. And so this is a great way to offset and mitigate it. It's also very secure. So we spend a lot of time making sure that it is a secure environment. We're trusted suppliers, that we only use that. All the solutions are validated and perform very well. We make sure that we prove everything out. Great example of firmware, for example, VMware would be a great example. So VMware, when they do a patch or firmware update, we actually go back and NetApp would be another example. When they release new patches for their product, unlike what happened with Microsoft and CrowdStrike last week, we actually do a whole validation process of all that firmware BIOS or all those changes to make sure that it actually works and validates on our product, so that you don't roll out a patch too prematurely, as we've all had that with our phones. Sometimes all of a sudden stuff happens because we were quickly to upload and deploy that new patch, thinking we're getting all the security benefits of, but all of a sudden stuff starts breaking, or we no longer have access to certain applications because there isn't any inherent connectivity or efficacy proven that they've done the validation of those particular key assets and software. So something important that's really important that we do, integral to all the things we do. And then the future of TrueScale, we want to be the most trusted TrueScale as a service provider in the world. And so channel partners, CDW as a great example, technology, I mentioned the research and development centers, consulting services, and vertical solutions specifically for your markets. Really important so that you can look at not just, hey, I want to consume this, but I also know what hardware stack, as I've gone through a workshop with Lenovo and CDW to determine what that looks like. And so in sum, what did we learn today? Oh my goodness, a lot. And I'm sorry if I melted your brain, but AI requires a holistic approach, right? We got to think about the project identification. What is it that we want the AI to do? Is it a chat bot? Is it something different? And so you're going to go down a road of workshops and assessments. I'm actually got 55 seconds and I'm right there. So investment of time, money, resources. You're going to need help. Your small, medium business, you don't have a lot of resources. CDW and Lenovo want to be by your side to help you through that. Secure and trusted partners to end-to-end and to the end and beyond. Got that one. Responsible AI approach. So we can provide a lot of knowledge and insights there, but you want to make sure that you're being responsible. No one wants to see Terminator in real life. Really great movies, but nobody wants one in real life. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you ever want to check out Boston Dynamics has a project called Project Atlas. This is a culmination of AI at its finest. It is robotics, and it's an AI robot that can do parkour. So you can think of the cool applications of that, whether it's rescuing in extreme environments, forgiving the fact that it could have military application, but I'm more interested in the things that are going to help empower and enable humanity for good. But these are some pretty cool things that that particular project is doing. Capable, secure, reliable hardware. We got that. Data and data governance. Really important that we're considering our data when we're going through this particular experience. Getting experts to help you, thought leadership, and utilizing community. So I buy when I read reviews. I buy when I heard my friends say this is great. And so it's important to leverage that community of folks that are out there that are using AI and gaining and gleaning some of their best practices and knowing which pitfalls to avoid. ROI and value efficacy. So talked about liquid cooling. Oh my goodness. Well, yes, it's expensive. It can be, but not so prohibitive that it doesn't have an ROI within, a year and a half to 3 years, depending on the deployment model. So if you're getting an ROI back on the hardware technology that you're doing, you actually can gain cost back that you can redeploy into your organization and enhance that. So you wonder where you're going to take that extra funding that you're going to need to maintain your AI. Here's a great area to do that. Creating efficiency within your ROI, within your data center to lower your costs of power of your thermals. And again, you can use less power, but you can use more power. And if you get a lot of thermals, you're going to have to put the air conditioning on the data center to counteract that. So it's not just a statement of the assets or the products in your data center. It's actually a statement of the actual physical location that it's in. And then lastly, obviously, a resilient security posture. Your whole reputation resides or relies on having a resilient security posture. And so it's really important that when you're thinking about security, it's not just firewalls and next generation AV, which is what CrowdStrike is. It's next gen AV. It uses AI embedded in it. It's not a typical standard AI in the sense that it's just matching a behavior of an application or an executable to a list. Next gen AV is actually, it takes it, puts it in a sandbox, blows it up, and sees what that application is doing. And if it's doing something abnormal, then it knows to contain. So next gen AV is really important for you as well. But that security posture is absolutely key to your success. So thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time and spending the time with CDW and myself. At the bottom, you can see my name. I'm a Senior Manager, Infrastructure Solutions Group for Lenovo Canada. I have a wonderful team that would love to work with you and the CDW team on any of your AI goals. I will leave it there, and we'll open it up for questions. I hope I kept you all awake.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jason. Such an educational presentation. So many learnings, so much great stuff. We do have a couple of questions in the chat. I'm not sure if you're able to see them or if you'd like me to read them out for you.
No, I got it. Let me just make sure I got the one at the top. What types of AI applications or use cases are most commonly adopted by SMBs using Lenovo solutions? So I did kind of go through that, but if you're thinking about it, chatbots, as you saw on that slide, and I can go back to that slide actually. Sorry, it's like I said, 800 slides that I shared with you today, but I can take you back there. Just let me find that slide again. Here we go. Oh, it jumped around. And here we go. Let me just share this again. So for that one, that would be this particular one here. Don't worry about the view on my deck here, but you'll see main uses, virtual customer assistance, efficiency, right? So making notes from meetings, using Copilot, and then image and content creation. So sometimes, hey, AI, if it's a visual rendering AI, which they can do, draw me a picture of somebody doing this. I need to use it for some marketing brochure, right? And then I mentioned that extra one, which is disability and inclusion activities, which is, hey, label this whole slide deck for me for sight impaired individuals so that it has descriptors on that. Hopefully that answers that question. Next question, and you can just say no in the chat if I didn't answer your question. We'll go from there. Next question is from Philemon Stars. How does Lenovo's technology roadmap align with future advancement in AI, and what should SMBs expect in terms of ongoing innovation and support? So yeah, I hope I hit home that we are spending $2.2 billion annually on research and development. So huge investments. And funny enough, we've been doing AI for so long. As I mentioned on the deck, 60 plus AI innovative solutions. It was 65 plus I had to update this morning. So yes, we are investing heavily in this, as everybody is. I have to be honest there. So yeah, there is no AI going away. Lenovo sees that, and even in our PC models, you'll see a statement just recently. We actually are have NPUs, or will have NPUs in all our products using Intel, but also we're actually building AI into all of our products going forward. Obviously optional for you to choose if you want to use them or not. You may have your own. So I do hope that helps you there. What scalability options are available? This is from Richard Peterson. What scalability options are available in Lenovo's data center solutions to accommodate the evolving needs of SMBs? Yes, so absolutely. So I talked about some of the hardware that we have, and again, depends on the SMB. So I talked about one SMB being a one employee in a garage, perhaps, or there are literally some very large and significant global players that would be considered medium business, but are obviously massive in a generation of revenue size. So we have solutions that fit all of those bills, right? Whether you're in a garage or in a closet and you need something that has environmental capabilities, it's not just the edge. We have form factors there. We have tower servers as well for the offices, dental offices, and everything. And then we have full enterprise class solutions with 4-socket processors to drive massive compute, and those can do 8-way SXM GPUs, so they're massive power horses to drive big AI workloads. So yeah, we can do everything from the smallest of small in business to the largest of large. As I mentioned, hyperscalers, those are the largest of large, and we can take care of all of them. And again, I mentioned scalability, so it really is just chat with their CDW team, get our team involved, and we'll have a conversation around what scalability looks like for you, because I believe it is, every customer is different, and so it's really important to listen and understand what your needs are. So I hope I answered that question. But again, you got my email address. You can always ping me on LinkedIn or email me, and I'm more than happy to introduce you to my team and have more conversation. Next. Oh, we got Philemon Stars again. How do Lenovo's data center solutions integrate with their AI offerings to provide a seamless experience for SMBs? So yeah, absolutely. We do that, as you mentioned, so validated solutions on AI. So we make sure that our stuff works with the LLMs, the SLMs, the processors, the accelerators that are out there, whether it's AMD, NVIDIA, Intel, all of that we do through great collaboration in the market to make sure that when we put something to market, it has efficacy, it's going to work, and it's not going to fail you. And then we do that obviously with reliable and secure hardware so that you don't have those external elements that could cause risk to your environment. And as I mentioned, again, all integrated and seamless. So we do have proven solutions that I wouldn't say they're canned, because again, every customer is a little different, but they are validated. In other words, we know that these things work on our stuff. We'll go through proof of concepts with you, make sure that before we ship something to you, if it's a need or it's a unique experience, we'll test it first. Why not? We've also had scenarios with customers who had specific needs. So I mentioned that AI lighting that does theaters and performance. They had specific needs. They wanted actually to have a USB port removed from the outside of their Edge chassis because they wanted their operating system on a flash drive inside of the chassis. And so what we did is we created, we worked with them, found a dongle essentially to move that in, and then through our OEM team, we can actually kind of tweak the way that the chassis and the form factor are designed and deployed to the customer so they get exactly what they want. So not just the boxes that we have in the market, we can also tweak and modify them specifically for you. And that's not just a fancy a logo on the bezel that's got your brand on the front. That could be everything from changes in form factor, even things like, hey, the acoustics on this server are too loud. What can you do? We'll actually bring it back into our lab. We'll run some tests and try and reduce those acoustics and get you reporting back. We had another scenario where a customer, we had 2 different suppliers for power supplies. Customer was in Europe, global customer. They said, we want power supply B, not power supply A for all of our devices, because we found the manufacturer of the power supply A had some jitter essentially in some of the European markets based on the power profile of that particular area. The other one was fine. And so through the POC testing, we can validate and mitigate a lot of these unknown risks to you through that validation process. So bring it to us and CW, and we'll have a conversation and help you along the way. And then I think, yes, you can schedule a demo with us anytime. Just reach out. We'll definitely talk about what it is you want to demonstrate, and we can certainly put you in touch with the right people at Lenovo and your CDW team, and we'll definitely get that conversation started and fill your eyes and ears and mind up with some new intelligent information to help you on your way. So are there any other questions, or did I miss anyone? Please feel free to chime in. Hopefully I addressed those questions adequately. What I'll do is I'll just bring my contact information back up just so you all have it, just in case. And again, want you to know, easiest way to reach out to us is you got your incredible CDW team here. Just reach out to them and they will put you in touch with us. Okay, so there's my contact information. Again, you can reach out to me directly. I will connect you with a member of my team. You can mention that you're on this CDW call as well, so we know who you're partnered with. We want to make sure that you have the right partner, and CDW has an incredible team in addition to us to help you solve all these challenges and unknowns around this AI journey that you're endeavoring upon. Okay.